Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Aries July 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And of course, I've done a number of readings from different parts of the world over Skype and FaceTime and WhatsApp for people, for Aries people. And if you yourself would like to have a clairvoyant reading where I use some tarot, but mainly it's clairvoyant stuff and some other things which you'll find very exciting, then just check out the information that's in the description box below, and the prices are on the website, of which there is a link. Now, let's get things underway for you, shall we? This is a deck which you probably won't see very often. Reason being is that it's an independent deck, and the developer is not doing any more revisions to it. And so it is something of a collector's item, I guess. Now I'm going to draw 5 cards for you because that's all we need, and we'll get through this rather quickly because I know your time is precious. So let's see what there is first up. The High Priestess. Interesting what is in here. This is the 6 of Cups. I've got some other playing cards around here which are here just to provide energy. I often use playing cards as well in my clairvoyant readings. They act as windows into your soul. That's the 3 of Wands. Let's find out what is in here, shall we? Let's go over here. The 8 of Coins. That's always a good one to have, I think. But of course, it all depends how they interact with each other. And finally, this one, which is the 5 of Wands. So, why don't you, as usual, come down, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good, close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. All right, my dear Aries, can you see that? Good. Now here we have the High Priestess, 6 of Cups, 3 of Wands, 5 of Wands, and 8 of Coins. Why don't we have a look first at this Major Arcana, your first card drawn, which is, of course, the High Priestess. What a very interesting depiction of the High Priestess here. Well, she is the keeper of the paradox and the non-binary. Sitting before an option of black or white, she takes the middle position. Because, of course, in life, nothing is black or white. Very rarely so. They are two ends of the spectrum, and in between there is an absolute cornucopia of different colors and experiences, perceptions, ideas, and opinions. Now, our priestess here is, by the looks of it, a Sibyl. Now, a Sibyl in ancient Greece, Babylonia, Egypt, and Mesopotamia was a woman who was an oracle who could foretell the future. And the female oracles, who were the keeper of esoteric wisdom and the speakers of mysterious truth. It is believed that some used snake venom to help bring on the visions, and our snakes here, as you can see, they also represent the goddess like Athena, Astarte from another country in Turkey, the priestess Medusa, and Sophia, the feminine representative of wisdom. Now, you can see that she is very much associated with the moon. Here underneath is a crescent moon upturned. I think that has a representation there of your subconscious. Now, the moon represents cycles, doesn't it? Going with the flow of life. She is, for me, the priestess of the silver star. The moon in its highest point, joining the human to the divine. Now, I think that you'll have access to intuitive powers, healing, independence, an inner equilibrium, increased self-confidence, possibly the ability to discover your own truth here, and emotional stability. She is in touch with her feminine abilities and can trust them completely. She perceives and is connected with her own inner voice, the internal guide and healer. Now, this shows outwardly in her trust in and responsibility to herself, like the camel, which can travel long stretches in the desert without water. You, when you have discovered your own inner spring, also radiate a satisfied sense of self-sufficiency. You find fertile oases in the innermost reaches of your being. You know, the more you accept yourself and share with others, the deeper the clarity of your perceptions will become. Now, when she appears, she can represent a platonic friendship developing or an emphasis upon a platonic friendship. Also maybe a period of alone time to work out what you really want and to let your mind process things. Changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside. You understand that, don't you? I think there is the need to connect and be more confident with your intuitive or feminine side. Now, the men, don't be concerned about this. We all have masculine and feminine principles within each one of us. And I think that this is a time to go with the flow of life and keep things in balance. I also have to say that I'm getting the feeling here that there could well be news of pregnancy or marriage here as well. But you now have access to your intuitive powers. Develop them more fully and guard your independence. Are there areas in your life which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? And if it's possible, seek out water as often as you can. Meditate near water and learn from it as much as you can. There's balance, intuition, insight, independence, self-knowledge here. The beginning of a creative cycle and asserting your independence. And a tremendous increase in your self-esteem. And becoming aware of intuition as a gift. And as I say, it is a time for discovering that oasis within. So say this to yourself. I trust my intuitive abilities. I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. Now, there was a wands card around here somewhere that I wanted to talk about. There it is in the center. Let's have a look at it here. See what it has to say to you. Well, look at this figure here, standing there. Really, this card is the perfect distillation of Zeus, the king of the gods in the Greek pantheon. And he is also the most curious of the gods. You are curious about what is over the horizon for you now. Now, anxiety is just preparation for action. That you should do something with your excitable, nervous state. Let that feeling of anxiety be useful to you. Don't smother it with wine or pills or sex with someone who is not worth transforming yourself for. Now, the butterflies that are here, it seems to me, they are both the feeling of a nervous stomach right before you set off on an adventure, and the creature happy to float from flower to flower, always willing to see what's in the garden next door. There's a particularly great astrology associated with this card for you, you know, at this time, and that is the sun in the second decan of Aries. The sun is also exalted in Aries, so this placement is particularly favorable. And Aries enjoys a challenge, doesn't it? And Aries suns are happiest when their lives are moving forward and active. I think that this is a time now where you'll find virtue, integrity, honesty, and again, self-confidence and no compromises. There are ideas crystallizing, confirmation that you are on the right path. There's possibly a business expansion coming around here, or even the case that a hobby may become a business. Reflect on your internal stillness, because it allows a new sense of self-confidence to come into being, and it guards against an overload of unnecessary problems. The wisdom within you is strong enough to repel any anxieties and doubts which may arise. The brooding, analytical considerations of your intellectual mind don't stand a chance when you are filled with life, energy, and a sense of vitality. I think that you really do now have a sense of direction in your life. It is important, though, for you to look inside and outside with integrity, honesty, and no compromises. While I'm on that point, it might also be worthwhile to check the honesty and integrity of somebody else. And that somebody else may well be an Aries, I think. So it's another Aries around. It is important to operate from a place of integrity before making decisions at the moment, and to have clarity of mind and heart before action is taken to bring about the best result. And unless you do have that clarity, don't act. But if you do have it, now is the time to move forward. Pay attention to your own point and internal stillness. Center yourself and overcome. Are there actually any reasons, real reasons for self-doubt? Do you yet doubt your virtues? If you are not centered and feel doubts lingering within, then dispel them. Say this: I have the power and virtue to reflect and to know. Well, having looked at that Three of Wands, we have something else in the same suit, being the Five. And let's have a quick look at it. This is something that's interesting, isn't it? The Five of Wands. Well, in a sense, there is the point that here you are, really, just trying to step into the sunlight. And there might be something which you think thwarts you from doing that. You feel that you might be constantly pushed back into the shadows again and again. And this time you think you've got it right, but no. So you can either build up your resentment as not being seen as brilliant, not being accepted, until you decide to burn down the whole world, or you can swallow your anger and use it to power through another set of revisions, another class, another training session. Now, the reason why I get that feeling of some sense of thwarting, a sense of being thwarted around you, is because the astrology has, for me, in this position, the planet of Saturn in the first decan of Leo, the 23rd of July to the 2nd of August. Now, Saturn and Leo, they just don't get on. Leo wants to be creative and express itself, while Saturn can be seen as being cold, dense, and wants to set boundaries and limits. Now, Leo here is a fire sign, and in the suit of Wands is in a fire suit. And added to it is, for me, with the number 5, the planet of Mars. So there's also the fiery energy of Mars there. And Saturn comes in and tries to dampen down all this fire energy. And so there is, in a sense, the case that the astrological energies are about discord. You might feel restriction, unfulfilled desire, a vain striving. This card signifies a general condition in which the creative power of the lion is blocked. And that's thanks to Saturn. And because the free flow of energy is greatly restricted, there's the danger that it can begin to stagnate. The concentrated charge of energy strives vainly to find a possibility for expression. Life to you might feel as if it has become a burden. Or even more likely, I think, is that you might be in the middle of a conflict, or there's some tension around, or there's competition about somebody who has the same sort of attractive looks that you do, someone who has the same skills that you do, with whom you're competing, somebody who's got the same sort of resume, someone who's got the same sort of experience. And you might think that this impacts upon your ability to move forward with your goals. But, do you know, sometimes conflict can be positive. The Five of Wands here in the center often points to competition with people who do have similar qualities and experiences as you. Now, you may not have had to face the fire of competition before, but now you will learn what it means, and in particular, what it requires. Now, this five here also encourages, I think, the understanding of differences of culture, background, and opinions, because that makes you more rounded and wise. In this situation, the danger of resigning yourself is great. Saturn reminds you that all things must be taken care of step by step. So don't let yourself be overwhelmed. Always look again to the flames of the suit and to the fire in the background, which burns on despite impediments. And I think when this card appears in the center of your spread, as it has done now, it is a sign that you are ready to face the situation and to do something about it. What insurmountable obstacles seem to stand between you and the realization of your goals? How does the mountain of duties and tasks which stand before you look right now? Just go step by step. Take everything a little easier and say this to yourself: I am more and more capable now of expressing my feelings and my creativity in relationships and work. But don't be downhearted about that, because what we have here is the Six of Cups. Now, the Six of Cups basically is pleasure in this position. Above the Five of Wands, you go through the period of competition or dealing with issues that you feel are holding you back, and then you come through victorious. There's nothing more to it than that. The reason is that it's because it is the Sun ruling of the second decan of Scorpio, the 3rd to the 12th of November. Now, with the number 6, I also have a mystical association with the Sun as well. So we have a double dose of the Sun, as the Sun rules both the numerology and the astrology of the card. And a double Sun reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. So I see here that there is, well, I'll be just straight up about it: lust, enjoyment, pleasure in sexual relationships, a rich exchange of sexual and heart energy, emotional renewal. Now, this emphasis on pleasure to do with sex can also be something which occurs in your fantasy realm, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also indulgence here, excitement, and possibly communication with your ancestors, family support. Do you know, the pleasure here is a kind of pleasure which is completely harmonized. The zodiac sign governing the card being Scorpio, for me here, well, pleasure is completely harmonized, and it is rooted in its most convenient soil. This is a preeminently fertile card. This energy is an invitation to give yourself up to the richness of your own emotionality. Now, you may experience this as a jump into water, as the tingling anticipation of diving deeply, of disappearing, of letting go. Rising to the surface, you are refreshed. This is the process of death and rebirth. The result of taking the risk, in this card here, is deep emotional purification and renewal. Now, it has to be said also that the pleasure to be experienced here may come about after much hardship. But the emphasis on this card is about sexuality. I think also that you have I'm just looking at these colours here of this sort of lilac-y blue and the green around there. They're the colours of Venus. And I think, therefore, that you have been undergoing a period of healing and transformation. They are brought about by Venus. The emphasis on this energy is on a relationship or the desire to have a relationship that will improve both individuals. Now, that doesn't just have to be romantic relationships, but it is a relationship where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Enjoy now all of which life gives you. This is the best way to express your gratitude. Are you holding on to old beliefs which prevent your enjoyment of pleasure? Enjoy your own emotional wealth and share it with someone else. And say this to yourself: I am now open to someone with whom I can share the joys of love on all levels. Now that takes us finally, I think, to... It is finally, isn't it? Yes, to this one here. This is 8 of coins. Okay. Let's have a closer look at it, shall we? Come in the center here and come into focus. Thank you, 8 of coins. Let's have a look at what does the imagery bring for me? Well, it suggests that this is a energy which focuses on craft, on improvement, on learning. The goal is beauty, but the way there is through craft. Here we do work because of the satisfaction of it, the pure pleasure of doing something well. It's about creating a resource of skill and ability, or about creating what people refer to as muscle memory. Do you understand what I mean by that? Now, if you're a visual artist, this is life studies and anatomical drawings, even if all you do is abstract wildness. If you're a chef, a cook at home, this is about knife skills and the building blocks of flavor. Now, it's not flashy. It's work that is really rewarding, and yet it is satisfying and is something that can be built upon. The end result of the work you're doing here should be refined skills rather than, hey, I figured out this one thing and so let's go and sell something on eBay. But when I look at the astrology of the card, as you know I do, then it actually becomes even more complex. There's a deeper meaning to it here because I have the sun ruling Virgo. Right. And in the number 8 here, mystically, I have the planet of Mercury here as well. Mercury in the number 8. And Mercury is also the planet of and is exalted in Virgo. So this is very favorable. Now the sun in Virgo, here the sun energizes Virgo's hard work and attention to detail. But you know, sometimes there is a strength in doing nothing at all. Rather, sow the seeds, sit back, and wait for the harvest. I think there is a flowering of internal and external richness, a wisdom, development, a carefulness around you, and a prudence here. Particularly at times of multi-types of flowering, extremes and excesses should be avoided. Internal flowering is a delicate process which occurs in stillness. It is a gift to handle lovingly and with great care. And every bloom on the tree is shielded by leaves, a symbol for protection and prudence. So I think that this is a time where you may be cautious, taking calculated risks. You'd be quite careful with money. Learning, education, and upskilling might be important to you. Now, that doesn't have to be in a formal sense. It might just be because you want to find out something, delve more into things like furnishings, colour, cooking, gardening, these types of things, as well as more traditional day-to-day things. It is a time, though, for you to be cautious physically. And it's also about not overextending yourself or underextending yourself. Rather, it's about being in the sweet spot where you can see all the bases that are laid out in front of you. This is definitely an encouragement to keep doing what you're doing, as it will eventually lead to success. But you need time and patience to develop it. Don't rush it, as I think it's something of a long-term thing, and be prepared to bide your time and let it come to fruition. Now, of course, it's going to require a lot of dedication, focus, and patience, but as time passes, you get closer to your goal. Now, it may not be apparent to you, but events are unfolding which are going to lead you to your destination. That which is coming into flower in you is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. Provide for it the protection and nourishment it needs. You don't need to force anything. Everything unfolds at the proper time. Are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment you need now for your development? Say this to yourself, because it is true now more than ever. I relax, and I trust life. Well, what a particularly interesting spread for you. Well done. That's the way it is for you this month. What a fascinating and uplifting month for you this is going to be. I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. I certainly love seeing you each month, and I look forward to doing it. I can't wait to do the next one. And until the next time, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.